objective is gold. There's nothing else on the table. That's how confident I am in these ladies. They're good. They want it.
That's Paige Palazzolo, the coach of the U.S. Women's Amputee Soccer team, and this is Amputee Soccer Rising, a co-production of the American Amputee Soccer Association and Amplitude Magazine. This episode is brought to you by Amplitude Magazine, now entering its 10th year of keeping the limb loss community informed and entertained. Subscribe at www.livingwithamplitude.com. I'm your host, Larry Borowski, the editor of Amplitude. The U.S. women's quest for gold is unfolding this week at the first ever Women's Amputee Soccer World Cup. The United States is one of 12 nations chasing that inaugural trophy in Barranquilla, Colombia. Group matches began on Monday, November 4th. The knockout stage begins on Friday, November 8th, and the championship game takes place on Sunday, November 10th. It's a compressed schedule, but that's nothing new for Coach Palazzolo and her squad. They've built the U.S. women's team from the ground up in less than 2 years. Some of the players had never even kicked a soccer ball until they tried out for the national team. Palazzolo herself got involved in the game almost by accident.
This is actually a wild story. So 3 years ago, I hurt my back. I was playing soccer and I got hit in the back so hard that I ended up needing surgery. And my doctor had said, I know a really great physical therapist. His name is James Pierre Glaude. So I go visit this guy and, I meet him and we're small talking. So he goes, what do you do for living? I said, my regular day job. I'm a school social worker. And then I am a goalkeeper trainer. And he goes, goalkeeper trainer? And he was asking me all these questions about goalkeeping and asked me, how would I train a goalkeeper with one arm or one hand? And I'm like, I don't know, Dr. JPG. I've never done that before.
Palazzolo, who is non-disabled, was then on staff at the Long Island Goalkeeper Academy, which is a prolific talent pipeline for NCAA Division I soccer programs. And Dr. Glaude was and is the Director of Sports Medicine and Performance for the U.S. Amputee Soccer team. He thought Palazzolo would make a fantastic addition to the coaching staff, and Palazzolo, she didn't really know what to think.
I was honestly so nervous. I had prepared for weeks. I had my friends tie one arm behind them. One had their right arm tied behind them. One had their left arm tied behind them. So I could just run through these drills to try and get a taste of this because I had no idea. There really are no amputee goalkeeper trainers anywhere. So I went out and I trained them and it went really, really great. And they asked me to be the goalkeeper trainer for the team.
Now, in addition to her extensive soccer background, Palazzolo is accomplished in the game of futsal, which is a fast-paced, freewheeling variation on soccer. As she worked with the amputee netminders, Palazzolo found herself incorporating futsal technique into her coaching.
If you look at futsal nets and amputee goalkeeper nets, they're pretty much identical. Maybe like a couple inches off, but extremely similar. And then on top of that, being a futsal goalkeeper is much different than being a soccer goalkeeper. Futsal, it's a lot about 1v1 saving, quick reactions, and blocking. Whereas being a soccer goalkeeper, it's a lot about positioning. There's a big difference in athleticism. But I feel like in futsal, you have to think so much quicker because the speed of the ball and the speed of the game is way quicker than soccer. And on top of that, in futsal, you use your legs. Now, you can use your legs, obviously, in soccer goalkeeping as well, but it's not like your legs really have a large percentage in covering a net and cutting off angles for a net. In futsal, they really do. It's key. And then the last thing about futsal goalkeeping that's really connected to amputee soccer goalkeeping is that futsal goalkeeping is a deflection-based game. It's not always about making a save in possession. It's about parrying the ball and deflecting it away from the center of the field. So I'm like, okay, that's perfect for amputee goalkeepers as well. Deflection-based, they have one hand. They can't possess everything. It has to be parried in a way that's away from pressure. So really combining those disciplines together, I really just made a curriculum that works.
Palazzolo accompanied Team USA to the 2022 Amputee Football World Cup, which is nominally a co-ed event. It so happens that one of the American goalkeepers, Alexia McKeedy, was one of the few women to see game action during that tournament. She'd improved her game tremendously under Palazzolo's tutelage. So when the U.S. Amputee Soccer Association decided to launch a women's team in early 2023, they didn't have to look far to find a head coach. Once again, it pushed Palazzolo outside her comfort zone, but in a good way.
I talk about this experience a lot, and the best things have always come to me when I have to start with, I'm nervous because I don't know what I'm doing. But growth and bravery doesn't come unless you're uncomfortable and doing something you have no idea what you're doing. So that's always what I just try to say to myself. It's a growing experience. I really had no idea how to build a women's team. I almost felt like it's almost like being a stalker. I had to send all these messages to different prosthetic offices. I had to try and find people on Instagram that would tag themselves being like amputee or amputee soccer. And I would just be messaging these people like no other. We utilize the men's players a lot. Of course, they have a way bigger network than I do, being part of support groups and prosthetic offices. Maybe they had different networks within their social media. So the men's team really did help spread awareness that a women's team was forming to the entire country.
Palazzolo already had a goalkeeper in McKeedy. The tryout camps in the spring of 2023 produced a nucleus of other team leaders. They included Sarah Evans, an Air Force veteran who won medals in multiple sports at the Invictus Games, Katie Bondi, a college lacrosse star and high school coach, and LaQuinta Haynes, a serious wheelchair basketball and rugby player. None of these women had played much soccer, either before or after losing a limb, and a few of the other players on the team had never played any sports at all, like Elena Alexandra, who we talked to back in episode 4. They didn't know the game all that well. They didn't know each other at all, but Bondi says the women quickly gelled as a team because everyone had a shared experience of limb loss.
So everyone has a story, and we all want to learn each other's stories. We all want to celebrate each other's stories, and then we also get to, play the beautiful game of soccer. And how is that not cool? The skill ranges range across the board. The ages are across the board, and everyone on the team has deserved their spot. You're on the team for a reason. Everyone has their strengths, but we also have our weaknesses. So it's how do we utilize our strengths and our weaknesses together to be the best that we can be.
Just 6 months after the first tryout camp, the U.S. women's amputee soccer team played their first ever match against Poland, a veteran team that's been playing together for years. Some of the American players were so new that they'd never met each other in person until they got to Poland. Yet they acquitted themselves well in a close 1-0 defeat, and they've had another year since then to get to know each other and added some new players. So even though it's still a young team, Palazzolo thinks Team USA is poised to do some real damage at the World Cup.
There's a lot of strengths with this team. Tactically speaking, we have a very attacking-based team. We have such great speed and cohesiveness on this team. I'm looking for this team to run up scores. I'm not looking for them to defend and maintain a game. I'm looking for this team to shock the world and see how much we can run up a score. These ladies are always saying we got to leave everything on the field. They've worked so hard, not just in soccer, but intellectually and emotionally as well. I actually have a staff member, and at every single camp, she does some sort of team bonding activity that helps the ladies grow closer to each other and understand soccer better and understanding their reasons why they play and teamwork and things that are hard to go through that they can go through together. So I think that's been key because they're going to have to rely on that the most when they're going to play.
Emily Maxwell, the assistant head coach and training coordinator for the women's team, points to another advantage Team USA hopes to exploit during the World Cup: endurance. From day one, the players have been committed to building their strength and fitness, and they've been coached to spend their energy strategically.
In Colombia, it's going to be a lot of game volume, and we're going to need everybody on the team to put in minutes and quality minutes. One of the weaknesses that we've had a lot of discussions about is how to be smart in reading the game. So if you are up 1-0, how do we slow the game down to maintain control of the game and preserve ourselves so we don't expend all our energy on game one? Once you get into that game in that stadium, a lot of times the crowd is so loud, they can't hear us from the sideline. As much as Paige and I are trying to relay information, it's so loud that they can't hear. And so it's going to be who can step up as that leader on the field and control and guide our team when we need to speed up, when we need to slow down, be that voice of reason a little bit. We're fortunate we have a couple players who could step up on the field and be that voice. I would say one of our main players would be Jenny Gray. She has a lot of soccer knowledge, and she plays right kind of in the center of the field. And so she'll be able to relay that information to the forwards, to the defenders, things like that. She brings a lot of experience to the game and is an incredible player. And so we're really looking forward to having her be that voice on the field.
Palazzolo, Maxwell, and Bondi all agree that the U.S. team has a mental edge heading into the tournament. All three have felt the emergence of something almost like a hive mind over the last 18 months, a shared consciousness that produces cohesive, intelligent team play. We'll hear from Maxwell first, then Bondi, then Palazzolo.
At this September camp, we were starting to see some of the creativity come out in our offensive play. In terms of how players were connecting on the field, putting passes together, and things like that. So I'm really excited to see how that continues to develop at the tournament. With some of the new women on the roster, some of them have the background of soccer and some of them don't, but their drive just to want to get better is great. I also coach soccer, so I know in my head what I want to have happen, but it's the being able to tell my teammates, if you do this, this is where the ball's going to go, and just being able to express that. If someone's making this run, is it smart to pass it to them or look for the next run? In the end, as long as we're on the same page as a team, it doesn't matter what we don't know, it just matters what we know.
I think a big feat that we've accomplished as a staff is mentally preparing this team for what they're about to do, because the biggest thing that the ladies told me in Poland was that they were nervous, scared, excited, so many emotions that they forgot about soccer. They were lost because we can mentally prepare them to take on this huge adventure. And I think that's something that's going to really help us when we step on the field. Is these ladies can feel confident. These ladies can take control of the game because of their confidence. And really, other teams are going to have to watch us and adapt to us. And we're going to be controlling the games because, these ladies, they got it. These ladies got it.
As Coach Palazzolo told us at the top of the episode, the American women are focused this week on winning a World Cup. But the American women aren't playing just for each other or just for the United States. Above all else, they're playing for amputees. Whatever happens down in Colombia, Bondi says she'll come home more committed than ever to create opportunities for amputees to play soccer and keep building the game in the United States.
Being on the national team's awesome. That's, so cool for me to be able to say that. But, going up to a kid with a disability and saying, hey, you can play soccer, and just having their eyes light up, I think the value in that outweighs the value of me saying, I'm on the national team.
It's so much more than just soccer. There are plenty of people that try amputee soccer, and their goal is not to make a national team. They just want to try it, and that's totally fine too. Just because you are trying amputee soccer doesn't mean that you have to go play at the highest level. Maybe you're a little bit older and you just want to become active again. Or maybe you're an amputee that you've never played a sport before, which is the majority of our team, and you just want to try it. It's not a requirement to be a soccer player or an athlete to come check us out. come for the camaraderie, come for the community, come for anything else besides soccer. The soccer is the bonus. And if you end up liking it, fantastic. There's a high-level pathway that's there for you. But we're open for everybody and anybody to try this. And I promise that they're going to get so much more out of it than just soccer that could really change their life.
Now you can get the results of every match of the 2024 Women's Amputee Soccer World Cup at the American Amputee Soccer Association's website, usampsoccer.org. World Cup games are being streamed live and archived at the World Amputee Football Federation's Facebook page. This episode of Amputee Soccer Rising was brought to you by Amplitude Magazine, now entering its 10th year of keeping the limb loss community informed and entertained. Subscribe at www.livingwithamplitude.com. You've been listening to Amputee Soccer Rising. If you've enjoyed this episode, check out our archive of previous segments at amputeesoccerrising.podbean.com. We'll see you next month.